start the recording. All right, let me give a brief introduction. She has a very well endowed resume, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to do her justice, but I will try my best. Whoa, I think I lost my link that I had up. Sorry about that. Give me 1 second. All right, I believe it's this one here. All right, so quick introduction of Miss Rupa Singh, who I believe is calling in from India today. So thank you very much for taking time out to present to us. But Ms. Rupa Singh, she has over 14 years of experience as a business consultant and machine learning expert, and has worked for large organizations across various domains. She's highly skilled in building scalable analytical solutions in the financial industry and experience working with predictive analysis, machine learning, data visualization, reporting, and system design and functional consulting. She's worked with industry giants such as GE Oil and Gas, Cisco, Microsoft, Apple, and Emerson. More importantly, she's on a mission to impact more than 100,000, the field of data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. Without further ado, please let us welcome Ms. Rupa Singh.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. And it's a pleasure being here. And thank you for your kind introduction. And first of all, I would like to thank all the participants for taking out your valuable time while you could have been doing so many other things. And, talking about the very important topic today, AI in Africa. And so we are going to discuss a lot of things, a lot of opportunities for AI in Africa, and what are the challenges and what Africa can do with respect to this fourth industrial revolution. So it's a pleasure being here, and thank you so much, JK, for inviting me. So I'll be sharing my screen. Please allow me to share my screen.
Go ahead, try it again.
Sure.
All right. Everyone, please make sure your microphones are off. All right. And thank you, Rupa. We're looking forward to this talk.
Great. Please confirm if my screen is visible.
Yes, it is.
All right, that's great.
Thank you.
So welcome everyone, and thank you once again for joining in. And we are going to talk about AI for Africa. So, well, before going ahead, we know that we are standing on the brink of a technological revolution that will fundamentally alter the way we live, work, and relate to one another. In its scale, scope, and complexity, the transformation will be unlike anything humankind has experienced before. So we do not yet know how it is going to unfold, but one thing is clear: the response to it must be integrated and comprehensive, involving all stakeholders, the global polity, from the public and private sector to academic and civil society. So I'll just give a brief introduction about myself. I'm the founder and CEO of AI Beehive. I'm also recognized as top 20 global AI ethics leader, an expert member of Global AI Ethics Institute, Montreal Global AI Ethics Institute, and an author of the book AI Ethics with Buddhist Perspective, design thinker, award-winning entrepreneur, machine learning and AI specialist. And I'm also on the mission to impact more than 100,000 students and professionals achieve their goals to pursue career in machine learning, as well as building AI for human dignity. So, as we know that the first industrial revolution changed our lives and economy from an agrarian and handicraft economy to one dominated by industry and machine manufacturing. Oil and electricity facilitated mass production in the second industrial revolution, and in the third industrial revolution, information technology was used to automate production. So the speed and measure of the changes coming about by the fourth industrial revolution cannot be ignored. And these changes will bring shifts in power, shifts in wealth and knowledge. And only being knowledgeable in which this is occurring can we ensure that advances in knowledge and technology reach all and benefit all. So the first industrial revolution that started in 1760s with the invention of steam engine, the steam engine allowed the transition uh, the steam engine allowed the transition from farming and feudal society to the new manufacturing process. And these transition included the use of coal as a main energy, while trains were the main means of transportation. Then we have second industrial revolution that began in 1900 with the invention of the internal combustion engine. And this led to an era of rapid industrialization using oil and electricity to power mass production. The third industrial revolution started in 1960s and was characterized with the implementation of electronics and information technology to automate production. And the fourth industrial revolution now involves computer-generated product design and three-dimensional 3D printing, which can create solids object by building up successive layers of materials. And now a fourth industrial revolution is building on the third, the digital revolution that has been occurring since the middle of the last century. And it is characterized by a fusion of technologies that is blurring the lines between the physical, digital, and biological spheres. So the fourth industrial revolution have a variety impacting the economy in a variety of ways. First, a large portion of people around the world are likely to use social media platforms to connect, learn, and change information. And second, a variety of innovative producers and competitors will have easy access to digital platforms of marketing, sales, and distribution, thereby improving the quality and price of goods and services. And third, consumers will be more and more involved in the production and distribution chains. And the main effects of this revolution on the business environment are the impact it will have on consumer expectations, product quality, the move towards collaborative innovation, and innovations in organizational forms. And the fourth industrial revolution is characterized by fusion of technologies that is blurring the lines between physical, digital, and biological spheres. So what makes fourth revolution distinct and unique? While AI technologies and applications have the potential to address many of humanity's most pressing problems through, for example, fostering a world that is less sick, less hungry, more productive, better educated, and better prepared to thwart effects of climate change, this promise comes with the risk of entrenched, amplified social inequality. And the main uh, what makes fourth revolution, distinct and unique, is distinct and unique from all the other previous revolution is its velocity, scope, and capacity. A velocity, scope, and impact at which these technologies are proliferating in every aspect of our lives. So these emerging technologies, such as sense, can sense, comprehend, and act. Sense means you can see these technologies in computer vision and audio processing, comprehending. For example, in the case of natural language processing, knowledge representation, and in the way it predicts in the machine learning, where it predicts the future and for helping for decision making, and in the expert systems such as in the healthcare industries. So the impact of data science in different industries, as we can see that data science applications in healthcare is used for medical image analysis, for drug discovery, bioinformatics, virtual assistants. For transportation, it is used for self-driving cars, enhanced driving experience, car monitoring systems, and enhancing the safety of passengers. And then in finance, we have customer segmentation, strategic decision making, algorithmic trading, and risk analytics. Again, we have seen a lot of data science and AI applications used for e-commerce businesses. For example, identifying customers and for personalization of the products and recommendation of the products and analyzing reviews through the technologies such as NLP. And then in manufacturing, for example, in predicting potential problems, monitoring systems, automating manufacturing units, and maintenance of scheduling and anomaly detection. And then in banking for fraud detection and credit risk modeling. So what are the opportunities of fourth industrial revolution, where humans and robots collaborating with each other to address many of the humanity's most pressing problems, and fostering a world which is more healthier, less hungry, more productive, better educated, and better prepared to fight climatic changes, and which promise that comes with risk of entrenched and amplified social inequality. So AI grounded in non-representative or biased data can include existing social and economic inequities, with AI systems reproducing the representation gap and biases of the data sets on which they are trained. The developments in AI have the potential to disrupt and transform socio-economic activities across industries. And while evidence is also emerging that businesses and governments across the world are positioning themselves to maximize these potentials, and evidence also indicates that countries in the global north, are better prepared to reap the benefits of AI, even though a significant number of jobs that can be displaced in the process. Uh, and it is also important to examine the role of international communities. So it is estimated that AI technologies could contribute over $15 trillion to the global economy, with more than 20% increase in the GDP of local economies, as humans and robots work in harmony to engineer solutions to challenging world problems. So benefits of artificial intelligence are like lowering barriers between investors and markets, more active role for artificial intelligence, integration of different techniques, and domains, like fusion of different techniques and domains, and improved quality of our lives and the connected life, uh, like internet, and improved socio-economic developments, improvement in employment and advancement of medicine, and improve productivity and efficiency of global supply chains. So artificial intelligence is transforming the way we live and work like never before. But in South Africa, where the adoption of digital technology has been sluggish, so a troubling question lingers, that will the country be left out of the AI transformation? So according to the CEO of Samsars, uh, she says, if you use a mobile phone or laptop's facial recognition features, uh, or drive a car or shop online, there is a good chance that a person in in East Africa helped train the algorithm that makes your technology work. So, and by most estimates, AI will create a market worth over $35 billion by 2025 and double annual economic growth rates, promising a future of robots and humans working together. So AI in Africa, from agriculture to banking, education to healthcare, the reach and usefulness of AI is still unfolding. And it is estimated that by 2030, AI could contribute over $15 trillion to the global economy, with more than 20% increase in the GDP of local economies as humans and robots work in harmony to engineer solutions to challenging world problems. And while governments and businesses across the world are beginning to position themselves to reap the opportunities of AI, the development and deployment of AI technologies are uneven globally, with a considerable gap between developed and developing countries. So AI in Africa, so there are some of the opportunities that we can see, like AI powered has the capacity to improve various aspects of socio-economic development across the world. And several local and international AI research hubs has been established. For example, the University of Cape Town, South Africa, established the Robotics and Agent uh, Lab in 2007 to focus the development of robotics and computational intelligence, as well as building the capacity of children from low-income households by supporting their annual participation uh, and annual internal robotics competition. Then Data Science Africa, or DSA, which has been operating since 2013, is a non-governmental organization based in Kenya, with a focus on promoting affordability, wider deployability, and the suitability of AI solutions in Africa. And DSA provides a platform for AI practitioners and researchers across Africa to discuss and share knowledge of the development and usefulness of AI. And then we have Women in Machine Learning and Data Science, also have chapters in Algeria, Botswana, Kenya, Morocco, Nigeria, and Uganda to engage with and promote women participation in AI. Furthermore, IBM Research opened AI labs in Kenya and uh, Johannesburg and South Africa in 2013 and 2016, respectively. And both Google and IBM labs have engineered AI solutions to improve food production and healthcare across Africa. So the three key driving components for AI is an adaptive workforce, ecosystem power plays, and AI as a new UI. So an adaptive workforce, the bureaucratic management model, which is based on fixed roles and rules designed for times of stable markets and long-term project planning, is a thing of the past. And rather an agile core of workers that help foster innovation and organizational change needed for companies to turn themselves into truly digital businesses. And then we have ecosystem power plays, the integration of core business functionalities with third parties and platforms to provide more personalized service to customers. And then AI as a new UI, a takeover by AI of most user, customer, employee, and partner experiences in the form of natural interfaces such as voice, gesture, touch, or natural language processing. And AI becomes a face of a company's digital brand or HR division and more. Okay. So what are the challenges and risks associated with AI? And what is holding Africa back? So there are a variety of challenges stemming from the fourth industrial revolution to overcome, from income inequality to cybersecurity. The benefits of fourth industrial revolution have obstacles that must be harnessed, directed, and overcome, such as income inequality, cybersecurity, and ethical dilemmas, and technology and advancement in science drive transformation around the world. So they create ripple effect on societies, institutions, economies, and they will transform the ways in which we live, work, and interact with one another. And understanding these technologies and their disruption potential is critical for all nations and especially developing countries. The fourth industrial revolution may affect society and economy in a variety of ways. And the new technologies may build upon and exacerbate existing inequalities both within developing countries as well as between developing and more developed regions. So, and then we also have AI's potential risks are particularly acute in the developing world where the new technologies may build upon and the increase existing inequalities. And if we continue blindly forward, we should expect to see increased inequality alongside economic disruption, social unrest, and in some cases, political instability with the technologically disadvantaged and underrepresented and faring the worst. So while AI technologies and applications have the potential to address many humanity's most pressing problems, AI can also be used by already dominant technology firms to further entrench economic and social power. So if like AI and equity in African settings, and for example, AI and gender equity in African settings. So a core equity dimension is gender, and there is evidence to suggest that African nations are experiencing a transformative feminization of technology entrepreneurship. In Egypt, women are adopting AI technologies to engage in ride-sharing platform services as drivers. And this is unprecedented in the country's male-dominating taxi driving culture. And it empowers the women not only by improving their ability to provide for their livelihoods, but also by breaking down social taboos and using digital technologies to ensure their safety. At the same time, gender issues fall at the heart of inclusion paradoxes in respect of digital transformation and as a subset of digital dynamics. And women are typically disadvantaged by data and algorithm biases, which reflect and amplify inequalities which is already existing. As AI algorithms and are typically developed in the global north and trained on data sets that represent realities which are significantly different from realities in African context, and thus may exclude certain communities, for example, women from particular services. And this can result in allocative harms, and that can extend to decisions related to eligibility of bank loans or credit. In 2017, the gender employment gender gap reached nearly 80% in Algeria and 69% in Egypt and Africa. And most of these digital divide is also gendered. Africa is the only continent where Africa is the only continent whose digital gender gap has only widened since 2013. And of the 60% of African women who own a mobile phone, only 18% have internet access, with over 200 million left unconnected. So, in the context, women in Africa are likely to be marginalized by AI on more than one level. First, there is the inaccuracy of the data. And since data is the primary AI's input, inaccuracies are produced by the data blur as aggregation would cloud out the gender sensitive realities and especially in the sectors like health and employment. And data inaccuracies can also be an outcome of data blindness produced by top-down data collection methodologies, which miss activities and communities that fall outside the radar of a formal lens. And then we have AI and cultural linguistic diversity. Well, AI can be expected to have profound impacts on the diversity of widely available cultural expressions in both the developed and developing worlds. And in the absence of strong policy interventions, the impacts have the potential to be starkly negative, particularly for the world's poor countries who are not home to dominant AI and digital content forms. So even in the forums which aims to widen NLP participation, Africa is barely represented, despite the fact that Africa has 60,000 languages. And the fourth industrial revolution in Africa cannot take place in English. It is imperative that NLP models be developed for the African continent. In particular, for Africa to take part in the global conversation, we should be developing machine translation systems to translate the internet and its content into the African languages and vice versa. So while previous industrialization worked through descaling work and into easier tasks to be accomplished by middle to low skilled workers. AI is upskilling work by hollowing out the middle ground between high skilled jobs and low paying jobs. And within firms, the increased use of big data, sensors, and machine learning can generate drastic changes in the way work is organized, potentially furthering employers' ability to control employee behavior, for instance, through increased monitoring and surveillance activities. And this strengthens employers' ability to discourage union activity, deepened by employees' increasing employment insecurity as the employer's ability to outsource work to other countries with lower labor cost. So, what needs to be done? And the deployment of artificial intelligence is proliferating on the African continent, but policy responses are still at uh, a very embryonic stages. And it is argued that for AI to build rather than undermine socio-economic inclusion in African settings, policymakers need to be cognizant of the following key dimensions like gender equity, cultural and linguistic diversity, and labor market shifts. Meanwhile, there is a need for African policy responses at the national, regional, continental, and international levels aimed at ensuring that the continent's innovators, enterprises, communities, governments, and other actors are able to reap AI's benefits and mitigate its threats. Sound policy approaches will be needed to enable African nations to build ecosystems that are inclusive, socially beneficial, and adequately integrated with the on ground realities. So, forging a path to an AI future, which and what needs to be done, that that requires creating a vibrant ecosystem and turn AI investment into AI driven growth and practice responsible AI. So creating a vibrant ecosystem, the vibrant ecosystems that are grounded on five pillars of stakeholders that form the basis of building AI success, and that is universities, startups, large companies, policymakers, and multi-stakeholders partnerships. And the role of these five varies between geographic markets, partly depending on the maturity of industry and the nature of political culture of each country. And one type is driven more by private sector companies in countries such as the United States. And though even here, the role of technological influential government organizations in nourishing the private sector should not be dismissed. And to prepare organizations for a successful future with AI, policymakers must clear the path to an AI future by preparing the next generation accordingly. Address the redistribution effects by advocating a strong code of ethics, prioritize attending to infrastructural barriers, and foster a collaborative ecosystem across pillars to support AI development. And the business leaders will need to integrate AI into their strategies and create a new AI playbook that empowers people to do what they do best with technology, um, and imagine, innovate, and create. And yeah, and the last important thing is practicing responsible AI, which can uh, mitigating biases and explainability of the AI decision making, and the AI which is trustworthy and which is which foster equality and inclusion of the even the most marginalized uh, societies. Okay, so thank you everyone, and I'm open for the questions. Uh,
Thank you so much, Rupa. That was an excellent presentation, very informative. For those who joined in during the time, my name is Chike. I'll be moderating the Q&A session. If you have a question that you would like to ask Rupa, please use the hand raise button. Since we have about 36 people on the call right now, please use the hand raise button. I'll try my best to get to you. And then also everybody else besides Rupa, can you please turn off your microphone? Turn off your microphone unless you are speaking. All right, but questions, any questions right now? Any questions for Rupa? Very informative talk. Then everybody speak at the same time. Any questions? All right. Let me see. I wrote down a couple of notes here. Let me see if do you have any recommendations for developing AI entrepreneurs, Rupa?
for developing
In
AI.
Africa. Excuse me?
Okay. Yes. Okay, that's a very interesting question, JK. And well, there are a lot of opportunities and a lot of the startups and entrepreneurs are, coming up in Africa as well. And as we discussed, there are some of the initiatives that are being done by IBM and Google, as well as and if I look into the this PPT presentation, a second. Yeah, so we have DSA, which is Data Science Africa, which has been operating since 2013 and focuses on promoting affordability and wider deployability. And then we have women in machine learning and data science. And so what I can suggest is, first we need to educate the young students in Africa, and educating the students in Africa about AI technologies and the future technologies such as blockchain, fintech, and metaverse, and all these future technologies, and also teaching them the right way of using these technologies, the ethics and the responsible way of using these powerful technologies. And and also these technologies can be used to solve many problems, such as in case of healthcare, and for agriculture, for food production, and for improving the supply chain and manufacturing. So if you look at any domains and any industry, AI and data science and machine learning is oiling the wheels of almost every industry. So based on the students' interest, once they are educated in different, first if they're educated about these new technologies and the advancements of these new technologies, and they pick up the domain, and I think the problem solving approach is very important. So what kind of problem they are trying to solve. So if they identify that and build towards working to solve those problems, whether in case of healthcare, whether in case of uh, you know uh, uh, giving education, or promoting uh, for food supply. And so yeah, I think students, the young entrepreneur, they need to first look at the problem solving approach and what kind of problem that they are motivated to solve for the country.
Great, thank you. We have two questions here in the chat. I'll read out the first one, unless Ahmed, would you like to speak for yourself?
Thank you. I would like to ask Rupa about are there any free alternatives for the GPT-3 artificial intelligence model that was created by OpenAI? Because nowadays it's paid, although they reduced the price of using it, but still it has to be paid. But are there any good free alternatives for that artificial intelligence model?
Sorry, Ahmed, for this right now, I do not have an answer, but I would definitely, look into that, and I would reply you offline.
Thank you, Rupa.
I will ask if you do get that answer, let me know so I can spread it out to the rest of
Sure.
the people on the call as well.
Sure, I will send it to you.
No problem. Chimezie, yeah, would you like to speak for yourself? Okay, well, he asked in the chat, how can individuals support in getting AI to the younger generations in Africa?
How can individuals support in getting AI to the younger generations in Africa?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great question. I think education is the best way of helping the younger generations in Africa, and they can start with coding, learning about Python, and going through the step-by-step process about learning about AI, like learning Python, and then maths and statistics involved in data science, and analyzing and processing of the data, as well as looking at the first thing is if you look at the stages of learning data science and machine learning, the first thing is what is the business problem, or what is the problem that you're trying to solve. And yeah, so you can start with learning coding, and coding, that is Python, which is a very easy language to learn. If you know basic English and basic mathematics, you can easily learn Python, and then learn about data visualization, mathematics, and statistics for data science. And then slowly you can get into learning algorithms for supervised learning and non-supervised learning, and then getting into deep learning and computer vision and so on.
Thank you. Benedict had the hand up earlier. I'm not sure if they still want to ask a question. Benedict, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much, Rupa. My question was actually implied on the last answer you just gave. I was wondering how to introduce young ones and how to introduce AI into educational curriculums. And I picked the notes from your last response. They could go through coding and then go into machine language and visualizations. So the other thing I may want to add is, are there easier platforms that can get children easily introduced to this information? Because a lot of the materials out there seem to be directed towards matured learners. Thank you.
Thank you, Benedict. Thank you for questioning this very important question. So how should we start learning about AI? So, in this internet world, there is no dearth of information. And I can understand that, right now we are in the information age, and the problem is not the access to information, but the real challenge is the access to, the direction. How do we take step by step learning process, because it's like an ocean of information, and we might feel lost with these overload of information, right? So what I can suggest is there are different platforms, free platforms such as YouTube and Udemy as well, and the Coursera, which has a little more advanced, curriculums for learning AI and coding. But you can get started with YouTube and also Udemy. Since these are not instructor-led courses, so most of the students, they end up not finishing these courses, and they lack motivation and encouragement. So I think first we can start, with YouTube and Udemy, like free courses, and then you can look for, instructors where, the students get the support system, and where the queries and doubts are solved, and they get a hand-holding from and mentorship from the instructors.
Thank you. A quick question from me. Can you speak about any work you do with AI ethics? I know you mentioned it a couple of times, but as we all know, ethics, can vary according to culture. So can you speak on any work you do with AI ethics?
Yeah, thank you, Chike, for asking this question. So I've been involved with ethics since last more than a year, and creating awareness and teaching students and professionals in India, and also outside, about the artificial intelligence, the ethics, and ethics about the AI, the risk and the challenges about the AI. Also, I'm involved with, sorry. So yeah, the ethics of the AI. So creating awareness in my country, as well as involved globally for creating awareness and creating courses, and teaching students and professionals about the ethics of AI, and how can we create a responsible AI, and reduce algorithmic biases, and foster fairness, equality, and mostly explainability in AI. So when we talk about explainability in AI, AI currently is an opaque system, and it is called a black box. Okay, I just want to know how many of you know a little bit about AI and how it works. Please write in the chat window, me, if you know bit about AI and machine learning, how it works. Okay, great. All right, awesome. Amazing. Thank you. And if you don't know, please write down no. Okay, so as you know, AI works on the lot of data. Okay, thank you, Benedict, for answering. Okay, thank you so much for your response. So AI works on a lot of data, and why there is a buzzword right now, because currently we are in the digital era and there is a lot of data that we are generating every single minute. So even now, when we are interacting and when we have registered for this webinar, we have already created a data, right? So I can see that the data, what I can see now, that there are 34 participants, and who are the people who have joined this session. And then we have mobile phones, and we carry mobile phones in our pocket, and actually we are generating millions of data every single minute whenever we are making a call, or whenever we are texting, or when we are using Facebook for liking the post or commenting in the post, or whether you watch video on YouTube, or Facebook or Netflix. So we are generating a lot of data, and all these data are being fed into machine learning systems, right? So machine learning systems basically work on the data. And so if you want to know whether, if you want to ask machines whether the image of a cat is a cat, so we do not need to explicitly write the coding, because it will be very difficult to write the coding for computers to understand that this is a cat. But what we do is we give millions of images to machine learning systems, and the machine learning systems learns from these data, what we provided to the machines. So next time you give the image of a cat, the machine learning system can tell you that this image is of a cat. Okay, so machine learning systems works on a lot of data. And then it is used to predict, to classify, and for facial recognition systems, and then for computer vision, whether they can, in the traffic signal, in the traffic for AI recognition, AI computer vision, they can tell that whether this is a car or a truck or a bicycle or a human being. And this is how these technologies are used for self-driving cars. Okay.
Thank you. For anyone who's not aware, Mr. Ahmed Khalil is giving out a lot of free information in the chat about where you can get AI coding courses and different stuff like that. So please make sure to go and copy down some of those if you'd like more information. Anybody else questions? Anybody else questions for Ms. Rupa?
Hello, can you hear me?
Is it Chimeze?
Yes, yes.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
Because my interest is mainly on the kids, especially, for example, I have a son who is learning Python, but it's actually expensive, paying for all these training classes, live classes, and the teachers are also from India, and I'm based in United Arab Emirates. So I know back home, most families may not be able to afford for such. So my question is, do we have, let's say, like platforms where parents back home, can pay for all these trainings for their kids? That is a bit cheaper for them to afford. Because if you look at the big picture, yes, AI is not that popular in Africa. For example, someone like me now, I'm almost 40. I will find it a bit difficult going back to start learning all this at this age. So the best I can do is allow my kids, to have the knowledge as young as they are now. The zeal is there. They start from programming with Python, designing their own games, and then from there they'll build that motivation for themselves. So if we have platforms where parents back home, can actually allow their kids to connect, either it is free or they can just pay a little bit for, for the kids to join in the global classes. That would be very helpful. So I don't know if you have such information to share. Yeah, I know about some of the ones Mr. Ahmed already shared, but if you have more, please do let us know. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I think that's a very right question that you have, asked. So we do have a platform for AI, and you can check our website called www.ai.com, and you can so we can work with Chike and Ahmed Khalil to help the students in Africa to provide the courses that we have, the platforms that we have to help Africa, young students learn about Python, and as they find more interesting, they can learn about data science and AI in future. So we'll work with Chike and we'll have a conversation, and then we can see how we can help the students and people like. And also, I would like to say one thing, that uh, uh, age should not be a barrier right now, and you are not too old not to learn the new technology. And we have students who are, more than 45 years of age, and they are learning Python and data science and AI from the scratch, even when they never had coded in their life. So, and I think in order to reduce this digital gap, digital divide, we must foster a culture of learning, in today's era. Yes, Leonardo, you have a question?
Before him, sorry, there was a question in the chat. Leonard, we are coming to you next. Livingston, would you like to ask your question? Livingston, you there? So he had a question in the chat. He says, I'm currently working on AI. Hold on, let me see. Oh, he says in a busy environment. Okay, let me ask this question. He says he's currently working on AI as an emerging technology for the conservation of architectural heritages amidst climate change. This is the reason why he attended the webinar despite his tight schedule, but you haven't referenced AI as it relates to the built environment, which is one of the highest economy variable. Do you understand the question?
All right, Livingstone, I understand your concern, but since we are addressing the people from different backgrounds and different their understanding in AI, so sorry, we could not focus on these very niche topic that you are working in AI, and definitely we would love to talk about this topic in near future.
This seems to be a very popular talk that you're having here. So, maybe we can do a follow-up somehow, somewhere. But Leonard, go ahead. Sorry about that. And thank you for your patience.
Okay, thank you for this wonderful topic. It's something that I'm very passionate about. At my early stage, I discovered what it means to be, tech savvy. Currently I work as a project planning engineer, and I use the Oracle software. I use MS Project, and I use other software also in planning projects and also controlling projects. It's just a response to there's two speakers before she responded, about how is this thing being made cheap for, children in Africa per se. I'll tell you, my daughter is 4 years, and currently I'm paying as low as 5,000 naira. If you check 5,000 naira, I don't think it's it's not up to $20, So that's what I'm paying in her school for her to learn coding. So currently in Nigeria, we have a whole lot of coding institutions that are taking children from year 4, year 6, year 7 upward. So children in Nigeria currently are really getting into the coding environment. So my daughter has started learning, and they've made it easy in a way that from their tabs, like plug and play, little stuff they push around, trying to solve little issues like a game, making them understand the coding environment and also getting into this process. So I don't know about other African countries, but basically in Nigeria, the awareness is really high. And currently in Lagos, per se, so a lot of parents are, paying for their children in school. So it's like an extra curriculum activity, so they add that when you're paying for their fees, you pay an extra fee for their coding classes. So they have options like taekwondo and all of that. But I know a lot of parents opt for coding. So basically, it's something that we all have to push these kids to start doing because it's the future. I think also no one is you're not too old to learn. I learn every day. I do a lot of courses, like in a month. I know how many courses I do every month to get myself relevant, because the economic situation in the country is not really easy. So you just have to be relevant. You just have to position yourself so that at every point in time, you can move. And I also do part jobs on Upwork, and these are a lot of skills that are sought after. So I think individually, we just have to see how we can empower ourselves. Try to, even in your tight schedule, you can also engage. Like, she said earlier, you can go on Udemy, and you can go on, there's another one you can go on. So basically, I'm just trying to say that currently in Nigeria, there's a whole lot happening in the tech world, and children are also getting more involved in it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that one, Leonard. Very insightful. I see Jia Ying. I hope I said that correctly. Sorry if I did not. Also said freecodecamp.org. So you know what I will do here is write down all of these and send it out to everyone to make sure that there's places people know where they can go and learn. But in the meantime, any other questions for Ms. Rupa, who has sparked so much discussion? Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ms. Rupa, for presenting to our community. You did a very awesome job. everybody is talking and having a lot of questions, so we thank you. And yeah, if we need to do a follow-up, we'll do a follow-up. We'll conjoin with the community and see if they want to do a follow-up, if you want to get into some more detail. All right, so people are just saying thank you. But yes, thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and we hope to have you again sometime in the future.
Sure. Thank you, GK, and it was a pleasure being here. And thank you all the participants for your patience and asking interesting and some difficult questions. So thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. Thank you. One last thing for everyone else on the call, there is a network and chill event on Monday at, oh my gosh, don't get me lying, I believe it's 3 p.m. Eastern Standard, which would be 8 West African, 9 South African time, and then I believe 10. Sorry again about for those who in East Africa or on that side about the late start time. We're just trying to get everybody a good time for everybody. So we're trying to diversify the times more. But other than that, thank you very much, Ms. Rupa. Everyone else who joined on the call, hope to see you Monday as well for a network and chill discussion. You all have a great rest of the day. All right, bye-bye.